Hey everyone, and welcome back to Horror Movies for Life YouTube channel. I'm your host Brian, and in this video I thought it would be fun to do another tier list ranking. This is one that I haven't done before, but I got the idea by following a few different people on YouTube that I do for subgenres of horror. There's many different horror subgenres, as you know, and of course we all have our favorites and our least favorites. These are just going to be my opinion, my personal thoughts about the different subgenres of horror. Uh, I also thought this would be kind of fun to put out there on my channel since I'm still in the middle of my 12 horror movie pack, the final one that I'm doing for this month. Kind of a slog to get through, so I wanted to do something horror related, something different. But that review will be coming out the end of this week, probably around the 27th, 28th of June. For the 12 pack horror movie pack that we'll take a look at. But let's talk about this video. Let's talk about this tier list. And so, as you can see, I have my different categories here, the different tier ratings. Take my money, which is S tier. You have my attention, which is A tier. Worth a shot, B tier. Not for me, C tier. And then I'd rather True Broken Glass. That's like your D or F tier. So those are the different categories, and then you can see all the different subgenres of horror down here. So, excuse me. I better take a drink of water. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do here. So, yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. Again, this is just my opinion. So if I put a subgenre down and I'd rather True Broken Glass and you really like it, that's great. I'm glad that everybody can enjoy all the different horror subgenres. This is just my personal taste, just having to throw that out there. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started with Alien. And I'm going to put Alien in Worth a Shot. There's some really good Alien horror movies, namely Alien, Aliens, a few other ones, some that I haven't seen yet. That's on my bucket list, along with about 100 other movies. Things like I have in my collection, Life Force. There's some other ones too. But I think Alien movies are worth a shot. I really do. I think they can be very well done. I think they can be creepy and suspense filled. But they can also be pretty cheesy too. There's a lot of cheesy ones out there that just don't really work that well. So yeah, worth a shot for Alien for me. Animal, this would be like Jaws and the like. Obviously they got shark movies here. You got a picture of Jaws. I'm going to put worth a shot, and really Jaws is what brings this up to worth a shot rather True Broken Glass, because there's a lot of bad shark movies, and I know some people get a lot of excitement, a lot of entertainment out of bad shark movies. I'm not one of them. I think there's a handful of good shark movies. Now, again, this is Animal, so it's not just sharks. I don't know if it's including. I thought I saw another category. So I guess this is animal attack kind of movies, kind of covering everything. So that's worth pointing out too. Like, I like Grizzly Park. That's one of my better animal related horror movies. It's in my collection. Obviously, Jaws, Deep Blue Sea, 47 Meters Down's pretty decent. So yeah, I keep looking at this picture thinking it's just sharks, but no. As far as animal attacks or animal nature, horror, whatever you want to call it. It's worth a shot, just like Alien, because there's a lot of good ones and there's a lot of bad ones, and so that's why it ends up right in the middle for me. I think I wouldn't necessarily not watch an animal horror movie, but my expectations would be fairly low at the same time because I've seen a lot of bad ones. So yeah, then we're gonna put Alien and Animal right here in Worth a Shot. Anthology, gee, I wonder where this is gonna go. If you know my channel, if you followed me for any length of time, you know that anthology horror is my favorite subgenre of horror. So this is a take my money, no questions asked. That's not to say that every anthology movie I've ever watched is a masterpiece, because it certainly isn't. they're just like anything else where there's some really good ones, some ones that I enjoy that I realize aren't that good, and then there's some shot on video ones that are very low budget and kind of hard to get through. Like, I'm not a huge fan of there's several of them I'm not a huge fan of. Five Senses of Fear isn't one of my favorites. The VHS franchise I have a very mixed and rocky relationship with. What's the other one? The Alphabet one I don't really like. The ABCs of Death. So, I mean, just to give some context, there's bad ones. Or at least ones that I don't enjoy as much. But you have some all-time classics, and I'm always open to a good horror anthology movie. So, yeah, that's a take my money, no questions asked for me. Let's see, Backwoods. Again, I'm going to try not to put all of them into worth a shot, but I can't say that it's not for me because I do enjoy some of like the Wrong Turn movies and some other backwoods slasher movies, but at the same time, I know there's a lot of bad ones. I only care for the first two Wrong Turn movies. But yeah, there is something about the backwoods setting that I really do like, so that's why it's worth a shot, even if the execution and the story of the movies aren't all that well done. So I'm going to put it in worth a shot for backwoods horror. Now we have body horror, and this one you have my attention. This is an A tier for me, and a lot of it's because of movies like The Thing and The Fly. Those two really bring it up. You have my attention. And of course, there's other body horror movies. I'm just mentioning the two best ones for my money. But yeah, this is really an effects movie. I mean, if you use CGI, it would probably go down to not for me. But if it's a practical effect or mostly practical effect body horror movie, you have my attention for sure. It's a very interesting subgenre. To see what they can do with the human body from a practical effects standpoint. I don't care about what they can do with it from a CGI standpoint. But yeah, I also feel like body horror hasn't been visited as much as a lot of the other subgenres of horror. I think it's a subgenre that could really be tapped into even more. So yeah, you have my attention with body horror. Cannibal, I'm going to put not for me. There's only one Cannibal movie that I really like, and that's, of course, Cannibal Holocaust, and that's even hard to watch. I only like it because it's very well done. The music is mesmerizing, and the shots are quite exquisite. But as far as the movies themselves, I don't seek out cannibal movies. They're just not for me, as the category would say. People eating other people as a horror concept. Yeah, that's gross and it is horrific, but I don't know. It's not fun horror. It's not horror that I really gravitate towards or subgenre of horror. So yeah, I'm going to put Cannibal and not for me, but I know there's a lot of cannibal horror movies out there that have cannibal in the title besides Cannibal Holocaust. You have Cannibal Ferox, you have Cannibal Apocalypse. That's just a couple of them to name. So yeah, I wouldn't I'd probably give them a chance if they sounded interesting, but they're really not for me overall. Just not my my flavor of vodka. Whoops. Now we have comedy. This is a tough one. Is it horror? Is it comedy horror or horror comedy? I'm guessing it's horror comedy, and I'm going to go with worth a shot because there are some horror comedy movies that are some of my favorites. Things like Return of the Living Dead is probably my favorite horror comedy all time. Even though it's not fully comedy, An American Werewolf in London, I really get great comedy out of that. Even though it's a werewolf movie and there's a lot of horror in it as well. But those two really balance out the horror and the comedy as well as any. I also really enjoy, what you call it? Zombieland. I don't know. It's Monday. My brain's not working as well, guys, today. Zombieland. And Zombieland, the double tap is okay, too. But I really like the first Zombieland movie as a zombie comedy. Not even really a horror comedy, but it's well done and the humor works for me. But really, the Return of the Living Dead is the best horror comedy for my money that I've seen anyway. And there's other ones I've never seen. Dale and Tucker versus Evil. I know a lot of people talk about that one. Cabin in the Woods, which I think is more comedy than horror. People talk about the balance. I still yet to see the horror in that movie, but yeah, comedy's a mixed bag. A lot of times they don't get the balance right. That's why it doesn't always work. That's why it's not a take my money category or you have my attention, because a lot of times it's too much one or the other. The movies I mentioned, I think, do the best job in terms of balancing. But that's really the crux of horror comedy movies, is you have to get the balance right, and it's a very hard thing to do. So, whoops. Now we have Creature Feature. Whoa. No, not that high. You have my attention with Creature Features. Some of my favorite movies are like Gremlins. Well, I guess that one. But I still have yet to see the Critters movies. I have the box set for it. Again, it's on my long list of movies that I need to watch yet. And that's just horror related. But I like a good creature feature. Again, a lot of it depends on what kind of effects they use. Is it CGI? Is it more practical effects? But I like a good creature feature movie. I think they can be very effective. There's some good ones out there, but there's also some bad ones out there. So yeah, creature feature. It's more than worth a shot. You do have my attention when one comes out. So yeah. Crime, horror, crime thriller. Seven obviously is the picture given here, and Seven is a great crime thriller. I don't really think of it as a horror movie as much, although you can make the argument that it is. It definitely has horror elements to it. But Seven is the one that really comes to mind. You have my attention with a good crime horror, crime thriller. I guess you could say Silence of the Lambs as well would fall into this category. But yeah, I don't know what else to say. Seven, Silence of the Lambs, just having that mystery aspect, and then the horror that's discovered that comes out of that, I think is really enjoyable, and I really like that aspect of crime thrillers and crime horrors. So that reminds me, I really need to rewatch Seven. I haven't watched it in a few years, and it's such a good movie. Those great performances by Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt, especially Morgan Freeman, though. And now we have Demonic Possession, and at this point in time, I'm going to put it in I'd Rather True Broken Glass, and I think a lot of it has to do with, I just think the market is oversaturated with demonic possession movies. Over the last 10 or 15 years, we've gotten so many demonic possession movies and a lot less misses than hits. The Exorcist franchise is still cranking them out yet. And that's a franchise they really should have stopped at one movie. The Exorcist from 1973 did not need a sequel, a remake, a reboot, whatever you want to call it. But there's a lot of other demonic possession movies. Some of them are decent, but you can only do so much with, the typical possessed person that's contorting their body and making all kinds of weird crawling up the wall movements and things like that. I'm just kind of over it at this point. I haven't seen like the last 3 Exorcist movies because it's just like kind of like Star Wars to take us out of horror. The market's been oversaturated, and I have fatigue with it, to be honest with you. So in 2025, I'd rather True Broken Glass than watch more demonic possession movies. That being said, there are good ones. Obviously, The Exorcist. I remember the Exorcism movie. Some of the Exorcism movies, like The Exorcism of Emily Rose, is pretty good. But I have to watch it. I haven't seen it in probably 10 or 12 years. But yeah, that's where demonic possession is going to be our first entry into I'd Rather True Broken Glass. And I'm also going to have to put extreme here, and this might be an extreme take. It's just not for me. I'm not going to say there's anything wrong with extreme horror. But I've watched some of them, and even the ones that are well done, like Martyrs, and I'm not talking about the remake. I'm talking about the French movie Martyrs from 2008. I only watched it once. I don't own it. I watched it, I think, on Shudder a couple of years ago. It's a very well done movie in terms of story and pacing and obviously gore. but it's extremely hard to get through. I just got no enjoyment out of that movie, and that basically sums up my feeling on extreme horror. I feel like they go beyond. Well, I don't want to say that because, like I said, Martyrs was really well done, but I just don't enjoy them. That's the bottom line. I want to, when I sit down to watch horror, I want to have some fun with it, whether it's being scared or figuring out how they did things. I don't want to be closing my eyes and just cringing every 5 minutes like I am. I watched The Untold Story on Shudder as well several years ago. I think it's from Japan or Korea or Asian somewhere. Did not enjoy it at all. You know, you got kids getting killed on screen. It's just not for me. Extreme horror is not for me. I know there's a lot of people that enjoy it, that seek it out, and that's great. Like I said at the beginning of this video, but I am not somebody that at this point, I don't own a lot of extreme horror. I guess you could say Cannibal Holocaust could be considered an extreme horror. That's debatable. Like Martyrs, like I said, is what else have I seen? I've never seen some of the ones that are talked about, like Human Centipede. I have no desire to see any of those. What's the other one from around 2010 that people always... A Serbian film. No interest. Just no interest in seeing it. So, yeah, that's kind of that's just kind of my view on extreme horror. I'd rather True Broken Glass. So, folk horror. I'm going to put it's worth a shot for folk horror. This is things like Midsommar, obviously, as the picture would indicate. Also, the first one that always comes to mind, though, is The Wicker Man from 1973. Not the Nicolas Cage one, but the original, which is one of my favorite 70s movies. I think folk horror, there's some really good ones out there. It's been well done before with those. Midsommar was not really my cup of tea, although I'm due for a rewatch on that. I should probably rewatch it since we're in the middle of summer here. But again, it's another movie I can appreciate more than I actually like it. The Wicker Man I actually like, and I think that's incredibly disturbing and creepy. But yeah, folk horror, something about the setting and sort of the aesthetic of it I enjoy. So yeah, folk horror, it's worth a shot. Oh, found footage. And this got moved up probably to worth a shot. I have a very mixed love-hate relationship with found footage. There's some movies that I really like Hell House LLC, one of the creepiest movies made in the last 20 years that I've seen. Obviously, the Blair Witch Project for the marketing and the legacy, the original. I have still yet to see the sequels. There's some good ones. You know, another one is As Above, So Below. I already talked about the VHS franchise, very mixed there. But overall, I can't have found footage any higher because I have my issues with it. It really depends on how it's done, but sometimes the shaky cam is just a little too much. I have to be in the mood for it more than with other subgenres that I have above it. And I guess I haven't really ranked these in order as far as each of the categories. I could maybe do that at the end, but yeah, found footage, there was a while there where it was like, for like 5 to 10 years, it was nothing but found footage movies being cranked out. It's calmed down a little bit now, I would say, over the last 5 to 8 years, but it's worth a shot. That's where I have it right now. A couple years ago, it'd be not for me, but now it's worth a shot because there are several that I do like. Giallo. This is one that I really need to get into more. I have a lot of Giallo movies. That I really want to watch that aren't necessarily in my collection. And again, there's only so many hours in the day. And but I really like Giallos. I like kind of how they're laid out. I like the aesthetic of it, the formula, if you will. I think there's some really good ones that I've seen. Obviously. You have the three big directors. Dario Argento probably is the first one that comes to mind when it comes to Giallo. Lucio Fulci, and who's the other one whose name's escaping me? Oh damn, Monday. But Suspiria. Tenebrae is probably my favorite that I've seen. I've seen a few of them. I've seen the what's the other one from 1980? Monday. Inferno. That's it. Inferno. So, and then what's the other one? God, I'm due to rewatch. Even the ones that I've seen, I'm due to rewatch. Um, the Strange Case of Mrs. Ward or something like that. I remember really liking that one. I've only seen it once. So Giallo is one that I can't have higher because I really need to watch it more. But I have a feeling it's probably going to go up to You Have My Attention at some point here. So for right now, Giallo is worth a shot, and I really need to watch a lot more Giallo because I do like it. Gothic. I'm going to put You Have My Attention because I really like the aesthetic and the setting in Gothic movies. A lot of times the time period of Gothic. Things like Sleepy Hollow and oh God, there's so many. That's the one that comes to mind because I'm looking at the picture of it with Johnny Depp there. But yeah, just the look of it, the setting of it, the vibes of it. Gothic horror is really fun. Really enjoyable for me. I'm trying to think of the other ones. Would the Witch be considered God? No, I guess that's more folk, isn't it? That would fall more under here. What's the other? Just a second. Yeah. I can't find it right now. I'm not going to spend the time, but yeah, I like Gothic horror. I really do. You have my attention with it. Home Invasion. Again, it's worth a shot. Yeah, I hate to put so many in that category, which is the B tier, by the way. But I like The Strangers. I haven't seen the sequels yet. I do have Strangers Prey at Night I need to watch. I heard the remake or reboot was horrible, so I'm not really have any interest in that right now. My favorite, though, is actually not The Strangers, the original, but it's actually... oh, my goodness. You're Next. There we go. You're Next. Great final girl in that movie. Great gore. Just a great setup. It's pretty brutal. Yeah, I think You're Next is my favorite home invasion movie. The Strangers is good. I don't know if I've seen too many others. I know there are a lot of others out there, but it's worth a shot at this point in time for me. Then we have this one, Kaiju. I'm going to put that in I'd Rather True Broken Glass because if you're familiar with my channel, about a month ago when I started my horror movie packs, I had a 5-pack that was basically, was it 5 or 6? It was 5, and it had those old 1960s, sort of, not Godzilla necessarily, but like, what was the name of that, like, sort of Earth creature that was... now I forget it, but just go back and watch that video. I think it was called Freak Fest. And those kind of movies I really wouldn't seek out. They're just really not for me. So I'd rather True Broken Glass if I'm being honest about it. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. Just not really for me. The look and just the cheapness of it. And they all kind of feel the same too. At least they did in that Freak Fest package. So I'd rather True Broken Glass. Now we have Paranormal. I'm going to put this up to take my money. Now it is going to be behind Anthology. Let's see, how can I describe it? There's not every paranormal movie works, obviously, just like I said with Anthology, but there's some of the greatest movies ever are paranormal, like Poltergeist, The Conjuring. Yeah, it just are we including Haunted House here? Or has that got its own separate category? It looks like it is. Because I don't see Haunted House. So, movies like The Changeling and those movies that there's some kind of supernatural, well, I shouldn't say supernatural because that's still coming, superpower. Okay, well, but paranormal, yeah, obviously Paranormal Activity. These are movies that I enjoy. I know they're not for everybody. Some people kind of poo-poo them. And that's fine. That's fair enough, I suppose. But I'm always going to give a Paranormal Activity a shot. Not to say they're all going to be A plus, because they're certainly not. And I think for a while here in this decade or this century, I should say, they've gone a little overboard with those too. But some of my favorite horror movies of all time are paranormal, so that has to go in the take my money category. Now we've got parody, and this is going to go I'd Rather True Broken Glass. I saw the first two Scary Movies, I think. Scary movie movies. They're just not for me. I don't care if people take shots at horror movies and make fun of them. I don't, to each their own. They have the right to do that. I just don't enjoy them. I just don't really get much out of horror like parody movies. Like I said, I know there's like 8 of those scary movies now, or however many there are. I don't even know because I stopped paying attention after 2, and I really didn't enjoy. I know if I didn't enjoy the first 2, I wasn't going to enjoy any others after that. And they're just not for me. It's also one of the reasons I'm really not an Anna Faris fan, the actress that plays in a lot of those movies. She's so fucking annoying to me in those movies, and those movies in general are kind of annoying. They're just not my thing. So yeah, give me some broken glass to chew when it comes to parody. Post-apocalyptic. Do I want to put? I can't put it in not for me because, well, I haven't really. Okay, but because of 28 Days Later in that franchise, I'll keep it in worth a shot. If it wasn't for those movies, though, it'd probably be not for me. Because they all kind of play out the same. The Earth is very desolate and there's only a few survivors, and, it's got to fight to survive kind of thing. I don't know. It's not something that I would reach for all that often, other than the 28 days, 28 weeks, and I don't know about 28 years. I haven't seen it yet. It only came out a few days ago. But there are some post-apocalyptic movies that are well done in terms of the setting and the effects and the things like that. But for the most part, it's not really a subgenre that I'm going to reach for all that often. Psychological horror. This is going to go right up here. In fact, I'm tempted to put it in front of paranormal. Still behind anthology, but it's definitely strong. Take my money. Obviously, The Shining is shown here. But there's so many psychological horror movies that I could cite. I love the ones that make you think. That's what I love most about psychological horror. It isn't just splat movies, but there's an element behind it. Usually there's a twist involved or something that I really enjoy. These are the ones that are almost the creepiest in a lot of ways. Something like The Ring. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but psychological horror, take my money. I'm in, man. I really am. Now we have religious horror. Apparently this is different than, demonic possession's different. Because of, mostly because of The Omen, I guess, and even the first Omen that came out last year, which I really liked. There's some good ones. Also, what's the one with Sydney Sweeney that came out last year? I haven't seen it yet, actually, but I do have it in my collection. Keep wanting to say The Nun, but no, I'm not giving that one any points. Well, whatever. Religious horror can be interesting, especially with the religious aspects, and there's usually a pretty good story and backstory involved in these movies. I just watched. That's not really religious, Constantine, but. I'm going to put it in worth a shot, which I know I have a lot in there. S.A. Revenge. This is I'd Rather True Broken Glass. I'm not a big fan of S.A. or the R word that I don't want to mention here, but I think we know what I'm talking about. Things like I Spit on Your Grave, Last House on the Left. Now, the caveat is I actually do have those movies, and I probably watch them once every 4 or 5 years at most, but... I don't know. I know a lot of people get like the cathartic part of the revenge aspect to those, but I still don't think that the journey of having to go to how brutal some of those movies are. They're just not my kind of horror. I'd rather True Broken Glass, frankly, than S.A. Revenge. Slasher movies, I'm going to put Take My Money, and it's mostly because of 80s slashers. And then my favorite all-time slasher, which to this point is 1974's Black Christmas. Psycho from 1960, if you want to throw that in there. And then the slasher formula from the 80s movies. Not so much about everything that's come out after 1989. So it would remain at the end of Take My Money. It's not going to jump any of these three. Because slasher movies have both a positive and a negative side to the coin, if you will, a two-sided coin. The positive side is that a lot of directors have gotten their start because I feel like the low-budget aspect of a horror movie works best with slashers. Like that subgenre, I think you can effectively make an effective slasher movie with the lowest budget possible. as opposed to like paranormal doesn't work at all. You better have a bit of a budget with that. Slasher movie though, you can get away with it. You find a wood somewhere. You find maybe some bad actors and actresses, and maybe a cool a cool killer weapon and mask or something. You can make it work. You really can. And so, a good soundtrack or a good music in it. But I like I said, I enjoy the slasher for Psycho, Black Christmas 1974, and the '80s slasher movies. Not to say there aren't a few good ones post 2000. And the Scream franchise, obviously, that came out in the '90s. That's a different sort of subgenre, though. I feel like that's self-aware slasher, I would say, which is that's not a genre here. But yeah, I like slasher movies, I really do. But it's mostly I just wanted to give the caveat that it's mostly because of what it allows, like independent directors and people trying to start out and break into the business, kind of like a Damien Leone with Terrifier. What it allows for that, and then also the 1980s part of slasher movies. So I do enjoy slasher movies. They're very formulaic for the most part, but there's something about it. They're kind of like they're just kind of like feel-good horror movies, I guess. As weird as that is to watch people get killed. But now we have Splatstick. I'm assuming that this is things like Saw, and, well, no, Saw's coming up with torture. What the hell would Splatstick be? Would this be Hostel? That would be torture too. I don't know what Splatstick is. Somebody could comment down below what movies would fall into Splatstick. I guess it's kind of like, obviously the splat part of it is gore. And the, man, my brain is not working today. I don't know. You guys are going to have to help me out on this one. I'm going to put it in worth a shot just because I really don't know what movies would fall into that category. Splatstick. Well, they have a picture of Art the Clown there. Okay. All right, so if we're talking about the Terrifier movies, I almost want to put it up here because of that, because I really like the Terrifier movies. But if somebody down there could comment some other movies that would fall into Splatstick, I guess these are ones that sort of have a humor element to them, like a comedy element, as well as a very gory element to them, kind of like Terrifier. You have my attention with the Terrifier movies, obviously. But if somebody can comment down below some other movies that would fall into Splatstick, I would appreciate it. I'm going to have it in you have my attention, though, because of Terrifier. Superpower. Yeah, I hate to do it. I got to put another one in worth a shot. Carrie from 1976, obviously. Great superpower movie. What are some other ones? Brightburn, which I liked. I didn't love. Yeah, these are movies where a certain protagonist or antagonist have a superpower, obviously, that they're able to utilize in a horrific way. So it's worth a shot. Now we get to torture. I hate to do it, but again, worth a shot because of franchises like Saw and the first two Hostel movies anyway. Yeah, torture porn, whatever you want to call it. It's not every movie works for me. They're not all for me. I think Saw is really the franchise, and even with that franchise, I have a mixed relationship. Some of the movies are good, some of them aren't good. Because I feel like they're done more for shock value, and then the story and the narrative is kind of on the back burner. That's what I don't like about them. But at the same time, I can't deny that there's some unique and creative ways of killing people, like with the traps and Saw, of course, and stuff, and the backstory of why somebody's doing that with Jigsaw. So I'm going to put it in worth a shot. Vampire. God darn, I don't want to put another one. Well, okay, yeah, Vampire, because it's old school, I'm going to put it in You Have My Attention. Obviously, the most recent one being Nosferatu, the remake or reboot that came out last year. I haven't seen it yet. It's in my collection on my list. Obviously, you have things like Fright Night. You have the Lost Boys from the 80s. You have Dracula, all the different iterations of Dracula, to Bram Stoker's, which I really like, from 1992, to the original Dracula, all the Christopher Lee ones, which I have yet to watch. They're in my collection. Time is a thing. So yeah, I'm gonna put vampires and You Have My Attention, because I think some of the better horror movies, or movies like that, are really good, and so I would look forward to a new vampire movie coming out. Same thing with werewolf movies. An American Werewolf in London, probably my favorite one of all time. The transformation scene. The Howling is good. The first one is also, the transformation scene is is good. Although I prefer An American Werewolf in London. And then again, you go back to the werewolf movies, going back to the Universal monster movies. Wolfman, and there's so many other ones as well throughout the years. Some of them work, some of them don't, but the ones that really do really work for me, is like all-time movies for me. So that's why You Have My Attention. Witchcraft, I'm gonna put that one in not for me. Obviously there's exceptions, like the picture shown here with The Craft from 1996 is good. I enjoy it, but I don't watch it all that often. I watch it more for the actresses that are in it during that time. But as far as witchcraft movie overall goes, it's just not for me. It's not something I seek out. I don't hate it. I wouldn't rather True Broken Glass, so I'd give it more of a chance before that. But at the same time, I can't say that I've seen a lot of great witchcraft movies. You can comment down below some of the better ones, because I haven't seen a lot of them, admittedly, other than The Craft. So, and then finally we have zombie movies, and okay, we'll put it at the end of Worth a Shot. It's probably not for me a year or two ago again, but George A. Romero made a living on zombie movies. But I just feel like it's oversaturated as well. There's thousands of zombie movies, it feels like, from low budget to Hollywood studio ones, and they all kind of play out the same. I mean, there's some nuances, some differences to how fast the zombies move. The makeup effects and the gore effects certainly make a difference. I don't hate them, but like I said, there's so many out there that I don't reach for them either. Zombieland, I mentioned, is one of my favorite horror comedies, favorite zomcoms, if you will. So yeah, I think it has to go right in Worth a Shot, but the oversaturation does not help that subgenre. So this is what we're looking at, guys. As far as changing anything up here, I'm going to go like that. Anthology, psychological, paranormal, slasher, in that order for Take My Money. As far as body horror goes, well, werewolf's going to go in front of vampire for me. Yeah, I'm not going to put it in front of Splatstick, because Terrifier makes Splatstick, and like I said, you guys give me some other ideas, some other movies that I might or might not have seen that would fall into Splatstick. That'll determine whether this moves back or forward, but I'll go with this for that category. I'm not going to mess with Worth a Shot. It's going to take too long. I do know that zombie and torture are going to be at the end. Actually, that one's probably going to be at the end. This one's probably going to go up once I watch more of them. Yeah, I'll go with that. Not for me, Cannibal Witch. Yeah, no, I like that order, and then no, I'm going to stick with that. We're going to go like that. So this is the order in each category that I'm going to have them. So with all that being said, guys, go ahead and comment down below your guys' thought. I know this video is running long. There's a lot of subgenres, and this isn't even all of them. You could split them again if you really wanted to. But go ahead and comment your thoughts on my my tier list ranking for subgenres of horror. You don't have to give me your tier list ranking. That would be kind of hard to do, but give me like your top 3 and your bottom 3 out of these categories as far as your taste for subgenres of horror. With that being said, thank you guys for watching. I hope you're doing well. Comment down below, as I said. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to. It would really help me out. And with all that being said, I hope everybody's having a good summer. Stay cool and also stay scared. Bye.